When women have access to resources, opportunities, and decision-making processes, the benefits extend well beyond individual advancement to societal and economic development. Thank you to the Institute for Cultural Diplomacy, Mark Donfried and team, who have excelled themselves in bringing together an array of the finest people with the greatest of insights. The Berlin Economic Forum and the Berlin Initiative have been wide-ranging in content, graced by esteemed speakers from many countries across many disciplines, and deeply thought-provoking. The Scottish contingent here in Potsdam is strong, and so I shall quote from our national bard, our poet, Robert Burns, and introduce my speech by saying, quoting his poetry, "Amid this mighty fuss, just let me mention, the rights of women merit some attention." And this Saturday, the 8th of March, is International Women's Day, and I thought it apt to speak about the empowerment of women in the economy and in diplomacy, because the positive economic and diplomatic impacts are vast. Now, the International Women's Day 2025 campaign theme this year is Accelerate Action. A good choice indeed, because at the current rate of progress, it will take until the year 2158, which is roughly 5 generations from now, to reach full gender parity, according to data from the World Economic Forum. That's a long time away. So accelerate we must. As women at top tables, economic and diplomatic means better, sustainable, and more enduring outcomes. I often say that if women are not at the table, we will be on the menu. Research has consistently shown that empowering women into key diplomatic and international relation roles contributes to peace, and that peace negotiations involving women have a better chance of being sustainable and effective. Now, I know the men in this forum here today will note with interest that a study by the Royal Society showed that men in simulated war games scenarios are more likely to demonstrate overconfidence than women, pointing to the benefits of ensuring women are fully represented in high-level policy roles. The same study also showed that overconfidence in high-stake conflict scenarios is more likely to lead to a decision to attack a perceived enemy. Let's think about recent events in the Oval Office. If one or both of the personalities involved were women, do we think we would have witnessed what we did? Now, the memes on social media of the infamous Zelensky-Trump-Vance Oval Office meeting are plentiful and regarded as amusing by some, but none of this is a joke. It was and remains as serious a diplomatic incident as it gets, although matters seem to be thankfully improving. Now, research from the field of peacekeeping also tells us that bilateral nuclear deals, as well as global commitments like the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, would be stronger with women's participation. Research also tells us that women tend to adopt collaborative and consensus-driven approaches to diplomacy. This can lead to more constructive negotiations and compromise, reducing the likelihood of prolonged conflicts or breakdowns in dialogues. Now, the positive impact of empowered women in diplomacy speaks for itself. Stronger peace deals with women. Studies show that peace agreements with women signatories have a higher rate of implementation and last longer. Women in informal peace processes. A study of informal peace efforts found that in 3/4 of cases, 27 out of 38, women's groups were actively involved in grassroots level peace building. Women leading local peace effort works. Despite women's exclusion in most formal peace efforts, women play key roles in local peace building. For example, women in Yemen negotiated for civilian access to water. And in 2023 in Sudan, over 49 women-led organisations formed the Peace for Sudan platform to push for an inclusive peace process. And there are many other examples. Liberia's peace process, 2003 to 11. During Liberia's civil war, women's groups played a pivotal role in advocating for peace. Like in the Burundi peace negotiations, where in 2001, women's participation in those negotiations set a precedent for inclusive agreements. Women's involvement in diplomacy not only enriches the process, but also leads to more comprehensive and enduring solutions to complex global problems. The positive impact of women in international security speaks for itself. Including women in international security-related processes and high-level peace negotiations, as well as offering them senior diplomatic posts, means much more than just equal representation. There is an increasing body of evidence illustrating that women's participation in peace and security processes can play a significant role in determining the success and sustainability of peace agreements, as well as the durability and quality of that peace. Data shows that women are often perceived as honest brokers during peace negotiations and therefore able to achieve more sustainable and long-lasting results. For example, in the conflict resolution in Northern Ireland in the years up to 1998. Furthermore, thanks to our societal roles as women and responsibility as women, we also have the capacity to initiate inclusive cross-community dialogues, as again, for example, was shown in Northern Ireland, or to gauge security risks in violence-prone situations, such as in Afghanistan. According to a study by US think tank, the Council on Foreign Relations, substantial inclusion of women and civil society groups in peace negotiation makes the resulting agreement 64% less likely to fail. And according to another study, 35% more likely to last at least 15 years. Now, I've linked empowerment of women in diplomacy to empowerment of women in the economy because when women participate in diplomacy and governance, there is a stronger focus on economic development and stability. Countries with higher gender equality in leadership positions often experience greater economic growth, lower corruption, and improved governance. When women do well, society does well. When society does well, economies can flourish. Empowering women economically is pivotal for achieving gender equality and fostering global economic growth. When women have equal access to resources, opportunities, and decision-making processes, the benefits extend beyond individual advancement to societal and economic development. If women's employment rates were on a par with men's, the United States GDP would see an estimated increase of 9%. Similarly, closing gender gaps in labour markets can substantially enhance GDP as economics benefit from a more diverse and expansive talent pool. On the gender pay gap which plagues us all, here is a novel idea. Instead of paying women the same as men, we could instead pay men the same as women and see how angry they get. Women's economic empowerment is a powerful tool for alleviating poverty. When women earn an income, they are more likely to invest in their families, leading to improved health, education, and well-being for their children. This investment creates a positive cycle that uplifts entire communities. Companies with higher gender diversity, particularly in leadership roles, tend to perform better financially. Diverse perspectives contribute to improved decision-making, innovation, and resilience, giving businesses a competitive edge in the global market. Empowered women often engaged more actively in their communities, advocating for changes that benefit society as a whole. Their involvement leads to more equitable policies and the strengthening of social networks, fostering community development. The economic empowerment of women has lasting effects on future generations. Children of economically empowered women are more likely to receive better education and healthcare, setting the foundation for a more prosperous and equitable society. In October last year, the World Bank announced a new gender strategy aimed at boosting economic opportunities for women and enabling their participation in the global economy. It's called the Gender Strategy 2024 to 2030 and was unveiled during the International Monetary Fund and World Bank annual meetings in Washington. It has set goals by 2030 that aim to enable 300 million more women to use broadband internet, unlocking essential services, financial services, education and job opportunities. Let's wish it every success in achieving its goals. In conclusion, when we empower women in diplomacy, we, women, are not just participants, we are essential agents of change. Our contributions lead to more durable peace, inclusive decision-making, and policies that benefit society as a whole. When we empower women economically, we turn an important key in achieving gender equality and fostering global economic growth. When women have access to resources, opportunities, and decision-making processes, the benefits extend well beyond individual advancement to societal and economic development. And that is why I'm delighted to announce today a new Institute for Cultural Diplomacy initiative, the WG10 initiative. WG10 will be an interparliamentary alliance for the empowerment of women in the economy and diplomacy. WG because it stands for Women's Group, and 10 because the women participants will come from 10 countries. The initiative will include a group of female parliamentarians coming from Scotland, of course, and 9 other countries from the Baltic Sea region that will focus on economic, developmental, business, entrepreneurship, and environmental issues. The inauguration meeting will take place in our capital city of Edinburgh in Scotland this year from the 15th to the 18th of June. Now, the First Minister of Scotland from 2007 to 2014, Alex Salmond, to whom we shall pay tribute this afternoon, was a historian, an economist, a parliamentarian of both the UK and Scottish parliaments, and leader of my country, who understood and used skillful and much recognised and remarked upon diplomacy throughout his long, impactful, highly successful and accomplished career to further Scotland and our national cause. We shall never see his like again, and it is therefore fitting, given his association with the ICD and the indelible and everlasting impression he left on so many of you here today, that this initiative, in its purpose, is dedicated to him. This, fellow delegates, esteemed guests, excellencies, is an example of the Institute for Cultural Diplomacy not just talking the talk, but walking the walk. That women must be further empowered to play a central role in the economy and in diplomacy if we are to succeed in making the world a better, safer, kinder, and fairer place. Thank you, Mark, and the ICD for making this all possible. The WG10 initiative is a live example of the ICD answering the call of this year's International Women's Day to accelerate action. Thank you.